Here we did a POC with Ripple, together with Ripple, to use our products with blockchain messaging, and we succeeded. So now we have software products that are blockchain ready. Yeah.
With that in mind, what sort of effect will blockchain technologies have on cash management for a bank?
It's going to make it run much faster. So you're going to have, instead of waiting the day where you could actually decide, you know, we didn't know about it for a day, you may have received it or not, but people are now going to expect, corporations down to ourselves are going to expect that these payments get applied much faster, not 3 days. So we're complacent, right? We're okay paying 7% the deposit our $400 because we know it goes through all this technology and all this you know, sausage factory works. But if we go to the blockchain with our partners, a lot of that infrastructure goes away. I'm not paying a 7% fee to Swift anymore. I'm paying, you know, a couple of percentage points to the partner, and it hits within 3 to 4 seconds.
So from a cash management and liquidity side of things, it removes the excuse, oh, it'll be with you, it's being processed at the moment.
Correct. It removes the excuse, which also means that banks are going to have to buy systems like ours because they're not prepared for this. It's a disruptive technology, and they're not prepared for it.
We ran a trial last year of 12 banks that did not have accounts with each other, but wanted to make cross-border payments, where they used XRP as a means to source fiat currency. So they were using XRP to source liquidity and test its use case. In that trial, we found that it was quite successful in getting immediate access to liquidity and having significant capital savings for these institutions. We're moving now to production of this type of solution. We're partnering with several exchanges in different countries to list XRP, to quote it between the local currency. So there's a healthy liquidity ecosystem of many exchanges providing liquidity into and out of XRP, allowing or enabling a source for banks to turn to source XRP and enable it for cross-border liquidity. So we see this as our network expands, becoming a crucial part in scaling liquidity. We should note all the payments remain in fiat currency, so it's still government currency, and this is an optional tool. We don't require it for use of the network. The bank can use Ripple without ever engaging with XRP if they don't have an interest in that. So it's a preview of how we're looking at solving liquidity in our system. It's an optional tool that we do expect to see a great adoption for over the coming years. So that concludes the presentation today.
But, you know, look, I then and even now think, you know, some of the consumer use case that had a lot of the excitement and energy in 2015 when I joined Ripple, I felt was early and premature. And so, you know, Ripple, and as you know, I mean, Ripple was a little bit of a contrarian, or a lot of a contrarian, and kind of saying, look, we don't think governments are going away. We don't think banks are going away. We don't think fiat currency is going away. But we still think there's a role for digital assets to play in reducing friction and accelerating the speed and reducing costs associated with payments. So you know, when I started to talk to Chris Larson, they were recruiting to hire somebody as COO. Being a Bitcoin enthusiast or crypto enthusiast married with, I thought, a very pragmatic vision of how you actually bring this forward. And the revolutions rarely happen by going to the end point first. Instead, it's, you know, it's a crawl. I use the expression internally about crawl, walk, run. And, you know, you got to crawl before you walk, before you run. And I think the progress Ripple's making for the industry is, you know, I think moving the whole revolution forward.
My prediction, about 1 year ago, I actually was here at the Singapore FinTech Festival, and I got in trouble when I went back to the office because the PR team said I had overstepped by predicting that within a year, I predicted that financial institutions like banks would be using XRP in their payment flows. And that was a year ago that I made that prediction, and I go back to the office and everybody was like, Brad, you're not allowed to say things like that. It turns out I was right, which I remind the team of. So now as I look forward a year from now, like what are the things that are hard for us to imagine being true? And not even specific to Ripple or to XRP's community. I think one of the things that will surprise us a year from now is that banks will be custodying digital assets directly. And I think right now we think about that and think, look, there's no way that's going to happen. They're too conservative. And I think what you're seeing is, two things happening. One is banks are seeing that a lot of money is being made by digital asset exchanges globally, and banks are profit motivated. The second, and as we've talked about up here, certainly Ross has made very clear, is regulatory clarity and regulatory frameworks enable banks and financial institutions to lean into these markets. And I think we will surprise ourselves by this time. By the way, I'll also predict that it will be banks in the ASEAN markets where there is this regulatory clarity and there is a lot of progressive forward thinking. They'll be the first to actually allow for crypto assets custody in their accounts. All right, with that, we'll turn it over to questions. And I see a bunch of questions on this screen, which I can't really read from here, but we're supposed to pick some. Can you see those? Oh, there's 2 votes.
Let me try.
Do you see IMF holding crypto assets in the future? Oh, they're over here. That's easier. You want to take one? Go for it. The first one's for you. IMF. Do you see IMF holding crypto assets in the future? I did not put that up there.
Remember, I'm from the legal department. I'm supposed to be very conservative about these things. I don't want to go into great details about
Maybe I should take what the IMF is going to do.
So we did speak earlier where you mentioned that it's not necessarily about replacing SWIFT, it's about complementing it. So let's get some more information on this.
Okay. I used to work for SWIFT. I was SWIFT for 20 years, so SWIFT is flowing through my veins. SWIFT is the preeminent messaging system for the financial industry, which covers, say, payments, FX, trade, in terms of securities, etc., Nostra reconciliations, etc. What we're looking with the crypto, though, is where SWIFT would have a store and forward system for most of its payment transactions, where you need service level agreements that in a certain time I will do something, the payment turns up at a certain time during the day. Here we're looking at the new network styles, which allow instant, real-time movement of the funds and visibility of those funds as well. So we would not have a situation where banks need to come back to you and say, have my funds arrived? It's 3 days later. I need to find out or find query messages moving around the network. There's nothing like that. I don't believe Ripple is going to replace SWIFT. Ripple is one of the complementary networks, which is going to allow those institutions who need real time to make use of that. And I think we're also seeing that SWIFT are changing their network capability so that real time will be a possibility as well. But we may also see Ripple XRP moving across the SWIFT network as a currency when we're perhaps using something like FX.
Well, that tells you how much potential there is. You know, we are launching OnePayFX, which is a blockchain-based retail cross-border payment with Ripple, by the way, a U.S. company. That's coming to the U.S. We're going to do open bank. There's a lot of things that, and we created the North America region, Mexico, U.S. So we're now running a lot of these businesses together. So you'll see good results in the coming years. That's why today we announced our payment services division, which is super exciting, by the way. We're very big on this. People don't know that. We're going to be investing $20 billion over the next few years in technology and digital. It's about $5 billion total per year, and of that, $2 billion is in digital. So the run the bank and transform the bank versus the investment for the future is quite a healthy ratio. And in terms of scale, by the way, we're right up there with the biggest banks in the world. So we'd be 4th or 5th in the US, depending on how you measure that. So we have enough scale to invest across the group, which is one of the ways, that we're aiming to work more for the countries like the US or other countries where we don't have, the profitability we want. So we're going to really take advantage of our size globally.
This slide is going to shock you, but